Making the decision to write a book is fun and exciting, especially when you're writing your story. But finishing it is the hard part. Hey guys, it's your girl Sarah Ann. Today I'm going to share with you some tips and strategies that I use to write my story and write it in 6 months and also self-publish. So these strategies that I'm going to share with you is really going to help you to be able to buckle down, write that story, and share it. Don't let your message die at your lips. When you set out to write a story, a lot of times it seems exciting and fun, but also it can be overwhelming. You start to think about the task and how huge the task is to break down your story and be able to write a huge book. You're going at it the wrong way. When it comes to writing your story, you have to set your mind first. 80% of the work that has to be done has to be in your mind. 20% is just going to be writing the story down. You know the story, you know it word for word, you know it heart to heart. So that part is a little bit easier. I want to tackle the 80% that could really help you break down writer's block, identify the message to your story, and why it's so important. Most people question how to get started. You set out to write your story and then you get stuck. You don't finish it. Don't beat yourself up about that. Who has been there? I certainly have. Before I wrote my story, I set out to write it and then I put it on pause. It wasn't until after the accident I was able to really identify what my message was, and that broke something for me and I was able to write my story. Tony Robbins says 80% of what you do is mindset and 20% of it is action. And so 80% of it is the why, and then 20% of it is the how. When you set out to write your story, ask yourself, what is the message? Why am I writing this story? Why is it important? Number 2, you're gonna wanna identify the pain with the story. So that way you can place that pain in the place of, if I don't write the story, how will it affect not only me, but the person who needs to receive the story? See, pain is a good thing. Pain is something that's a gift because it allows us to channel it into a place of action and motivation. When you look at pain in a negative way, it then causes us to procrastinate and fall into a place of pity. Now I have a question for you. What will it cost you if you don't get this message out there? Who will it affect if they don't hear this message? How will you feel 10 years from now looking back and seeing that you never got started? Those questions should set your mindset up to go in to do the work. Which brings us to tip number 3, attacking writer's block. We all suffer with writer's block when it comes to writing a book, especially when we don't know how to be in a state of flowing. Being in a state of flowing is that place where hours would go by and you don't even realize it. You write and you don't even realize how much hours have gone by. To get yourself into that state now is where the work is required. Before you write your book, go for a walk. In the middle of writing your book, if you feel like you're falling out of that place of flowing, get up and stretch. Go for that walk. Pray, meditate, listen to music to get you into that place of flowing. Do whatever it takes for you to be able to tap into that state of mind to write your book. Which brings us to tip number 4, breaking it all down. Creating a map and an outline of your book. Write out all of the chapters that you want to have. They don't need to have titles, just do chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, however many that you want to include in your book. Then break it down even smaller and write out bullet points to each chapter. In this chapter, I'm going to write about this, this, and that. Chapter number 2 will include this. Chapter number 3 will include that. When you then break down all of those chapters, you'll then be able to write from chapter to chapter because you have an outline on what it is you want to write. I know in school they've taught us that before when we're getting ready to write a paper, for us to break down and do that map. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember that map that they used to make us draw, like that web graph. In the middle is the topic of what we're writing. Then over here is going to be paragraph 1. Over here, paragraph 2. Over here, paragraph 3. Over here, paragraph 4. And then from the chapters or the paragraphs, we then stem it out even more to then include, this is what we're gonna write in the paragraph. We're gonna cover these 3 main points. Now remember, you have already asked yourself in tip 1 and 2 why the message is important, or what is the message and what is the pain that's associated to it that I need to use to then continue to write or be in that place where I can write. So you've done that work already, so you'll be able to stay in line with what it is that you're writing when it comes to breaking those things down. It all boils down to focus. Being focused, being determined to finish that story. You can use all of these tips, but if you're not focused and you don't channel the pain into a place of motivation, then you will start, but you won't ever finish. I want you to finish that story. Whether you send it out to be published, I want you to finish that story. I want you to write it out. In your journal, as a manuscript, write your story. It is so important. Don't let your message die at your lips. Write that story fearlessly with no regret. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Hit that bell notification to get all the videos that come out every week on Wednesday. Guys, thank you so much for supporting this fearless agenda, and I hope that you can too go out and do the things that you're called to do fearlessly and live a life bold and beautiful with no regrets.